Yes, job people, this is Michael Shamaya representing. I will say, Hail the Lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
I will never stop, hail the Most High, and I will never stop, call Ras Tafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
And I hear some of the voice them behind me start to taunt me. So I hear one of the voice, hey small, you idiot. About to drop out of school and turn Rasta. I no answer him. I hear next one say, hey small, I still have no business with Rasta. I want to talk about praise Haile Selassie. I don't answer. I hear a third one say, Haile Selassie can't even talk English. So at that time, you know, I turn around and I look on the one who said that and I say, Haile Selassie live in England for 5 years and him can't talk English and I stop talking. A few minutes later, we hear the siren. And there is the motorcade drive coming at JC. You could hear a pin drop. And when the car draw up, a Bruce Golden was the head boy. Them send him go the car down at the car side. To go greet Haile Selassie. And then make a speech. I'm going to show you them photo there one day.
Yeah man. History.
So them carry Haile Selassie inside of the school. And them carry him right beside where we there, you know. On the veranda. Well, on the veranda, I stand up nearest to the column at the end of the veranda. And I see a table right there. And when I look at the table, I see a big book bound in leather. Brand new. And when I look at the book, it marks Visitor's Book. So you know what this one now?
Yes.
I know I left this one. I stand up right on the table. And it marks Visitor's Book. And when them carry Haile Selassie go inside of the library, go show them the artwork with the student them do. And I'm show them all of the book them in the library. And now when I am 9-year-old, I go into the library. And I read the National Geographic 1931. And I see Haile Selassie Man of the Year, Time Magazine, and the coronation of Haile Selassie 1930 with me a 9-year-old in the same library.
Wow.
And it's when them done carry him out of the library, them a walk with him come out because I'm going to go up a class now. College of Art, Science and Technology. That's where your uncle Randy, you know.
Yes,
I'll leave JC and come up a class. And when them pass the door and the column, when me there, them say to him, say, hold on, please, Imperial Majesty, please come and sign the visitor's book. And him come right when me there.
Hot.
And him sign the visitor's book. And the whole of the youth, them crowd around the table and watch him. And him turn around the book, and the book upside down to because we are on the other side of the table. Him turn around the book from upside down. I'm writing an Amharic script in there, no Roman letters. Arabic letters. And him use them and do so and call, because as a Ethiopian calling, them put them on upside down.
Yes.
You can see me, them put them on upside down and do so. As a Ethiopian calling.
Yes.
It's polite, like a polite call.
Okay.
And them call let you know that the whole of the crowd on the table only hear him trace him finger on the first line of Amharic script. And him said that is the name. And him trace him finger on the second line and say, and that is the date. And him just bow him head to it. So the momentum of the Rasta movement was growing more and more. And we were in contact with hundreds of Rasta youth right around the island. And we started to publish a newspaper. And the government of Jamaica get very jumpy because the government of Jamaica within between 3 years of independence, so-called independence, by 1965 they were so unpopular that they were afraid of the people of Jamaica. A matter of fact, within 8 months of the independence of Jamaica in August 62, they attacked the Rastafari movement and tried to wipe out the Rastafari movement in Jamaica, starting at the Coral Gardens
Okay.
attempt to wipe out the life of hundreds of Rastafari. But we resisted and grow stronger and stronger. A lot
Okay.
of the African-minded people in America were also Christian preachers.
Yes.
And there has been a long tradition of Ethiopianism around the world where black people in Africa identify with the Bible because Ethiopia is a key part of the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. So you
Yes.
call that tradition of identifying with the Bible by black people Ethiopianism.
Yes.
Now the emperor before Haile Selassie was Menelik.
Yes.
Menelik had ruled Ethiopia from about 1889.
Yes.
But Menelik don't have any son. So when Menelik getting old, his first cousin was also a minister of foreign affairs, which was Haile Selassie father, Ras Makonnen.
Yes.
And Ras Makonnen was well traveled outside of Africa and Ethiopia. And
Yes.
Menelik hear that him have a son that is very bright. From the age of 7, learn to speak foreign language, learning mathematics and various things beyond his years.
Yes. Genius
So
level.
Menelik
Mm-hmm.
is a child prodigy, Tafari.
Mm-hmm.
And Menelik tell his cousin that I want to know your son because I want you to be the emperor of Ethiopia after me and your son might be the emperor after you. But Makonnen did think to himself, I don't think I'm going to live longer than Menelik. So I want to prepare my son Tafari to take that throne of Ethiopia because I don't and he was right, he did die before Menelik.
Yes.
Died in 1906, I believe.
Yes.
Menelik died in 1911, I believe, 5 years later. But
Yes.
Tafari was being, the thing about it, Menelik and Makonnen used to send mission of Ethiopians to the Western Hemisphere from in the 1800s. Did you know that? When the charter come on Jamaica, the brethren start to organize. Brother Douglas got the charter, and Brother Chambers was the second. Brother Douglas and Brother Chambers were long-time Ethiopian World Federation members from them a youth.
Yes.
And then another one joined with them named Brother Vernon Carrington.
Okay.
But it's not him get the charter. Brother
Oh,
Douglas get the charter. But Brother Vernon Carrington was a very dynamic thinker. Some people who kind of displeased and jealous start says a little uptown. But we don't mind. We don't watch what them say. Some
yeah.
people used to try and intimidate me, all some well-known prominent man in the movement. Try and intimidate me. So
Okay.
you could judge, man. Some of them surround them out. You could judge, man, son. You could middle class youth. So me just cool, when me don't lick the cup, me say to them, say, I am no middle class. I say, I am ruling class. No middle class. Although me not like talk them way, I just have to use back the word on them. I say, me a ruling class. Me say, Ronald Small and me old man. Ronald Small is me old man. A
Yes.
highly Selassie, my father, my godfather, that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
me are no middle class, me are ruling class. So them have to shut up. Because them say them are Rastafari. And I run them out for me, say me are middle class. Yet them say them is the family of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So this is how people try and divide and rule. But it's a human tendency. Yeah. You remember when a woman was interviewing His Majesty? I think she named Falachi or something like so.
Yes. I knew what the I was gonna
And
say.
she, and she,
Yes.
she, she continually asking him about when he dies and he explained to her that he has made arrangement that when we are no longer here, that and that and that. And she continued persist. And one time she come again, him say, I have already told you. And she come back one time and him say, who is this woman?
Yes.
Where does she come from? What does she want? That is enough. Sasofit.
Yes.
Sasofit. And him say, get her out of here.
Yes. Yes.
Get
Yes.
her out of here. And I have an interview of her life as one of the greatest journalists. And them said to her, say, what has been the most difficult interview ever carried? She said, without a doubt, the interview of Haile Selassie. She said he's so full of himself. She said, I wore a pantsuit to the palace to interview him. And they called me one side and said, you may not interview him in a trousers. And they took me into a wardrobe with hundreds of dresses and made me choose a dress and change into it. That's why I should say influencer. 73. We always identify with the name 12 Tribe. Because every federation charter, may I remind the public, every federation charter had a name attached to it.
Okay.
Usually a name of one of the royal family of Ethiopia.
Okay.
So you had Empress Menen charter, and you had Ras Makonnen charter, and when the dreadlocks, when in the 30s and the 40s, when the Federation started going to Jamaica, most Rastafari was co-made man and woman.
Yes.
And when the dreadlocks started to come in, and the young dreadlocks youth were very aggressive, and they tried to keep out the dreadlocks from certain of the charters.
Yes.
So after 1955, at the His Majesty Silver Jubilee, he renewed the giving out of charters, and he sent out a special charter that was to welcome the dreadlocks, Charter 37. That's the one that Mortimer Planner was in. And it was famous for accepting all of the dreadlocks. And the personal name of the royal family that was attached to it was Haile Selassie First Local. It was I who introduced Bob Marley to the organization in 1973. I introduced Alan Cole there from about 71. But he was playing football in Brazil. So he didn't leave Brazil and come home till 73. So Alan Cole, Bob Marley, many of the popular youths and things. And you know, when them come into the organization, it becomes even more attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, Samuel complained in a prayer, because prayer is a reasoning with yourself, you know. Yes. You are a person, you're a body, you're a human body. You're a person. A human body is a person. In other words, an individual. So is your person name Kwasi? That's your personal name. But the life inside of you is God Almighty.
Yes.
So you are a community of at least two. You, Kwasi, and God. That's a fact, you know.
Yeah, man.
Is you, Kwasi, and God. Are you, Kwasi, and God sit down right here then? The Rastafari movement, just like how the police is not supposed to be a force. It's supposed to be a service. Yes. But it really serves the ruling class. So it is that the Rastafari is a service. Rastafari rose up as a service, an educational service, and a preparation for the people, the black people around the world, free themselves. So it is now, like the Maroons and like the Israelites, the Jewish people, we must not see ourselves superior to the rest of the people. We must not feel like the Rastafari is higher than the rest of the people. We come to serve them and provide a service for them and facilitate the coming together of the people. And because of that, whether people are the same as us or not, just as I say, we don't agree on everything, but by facilitating just make us remind ourselves, we are not superior to anyone else, and the service that we're doing is a great service you're doing because of you provide service to everyone. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion Voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion Voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion Voice.
Jano, I'm so hungry, bro. I haven't eaten all day. Like, my head started to hurt me too. Like, what more could I eat right now?
What about a city samosa? So come now and get your samosa, a fusion of Indian, Jamaican, and African culture. City samosas, the best samosas in the city.
Government is trapping the system. Government is trapping the system. The system.
I'm here writing all these modern scrolls. Has a redemption for bloodshed on Sodom Road. Stories that trigger happy now to shot all of his foes. This is the outcome of 500 years down here in the West. Mothers forced to manual labor with no rest. The cost of living in the West is leaving us penniless. Loudly I hear the cries of my peoples being released out of cages of desert eagles, leaving the victim garment see to. If you overstand the level, he who feels it knows the down pressure of the devil. Toss the Pope in the fire, Gideon black rebels. My sword is my word manifested in flesh. Blessed to get it used for homeless with a place to rest. Selassie say close the naked, shelter for the shelterless. Babylon you can't govern because your heart is too dirty. Behold the lion of Judah, he get low this worthy.
So heal his majesty. Heal him, King of glory. Heal him, might of the Trinity. Ras Tafari, crown every African free. So heal his majesty. Heal him, King of glory. Heal him, might of the Trinity. Ras Tafari, crown every African free. I'm Bessa, trample the down presser.
What do you have to tell the people about Ras Tafari?
Light to the world. King of kings and the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. I left himself. Where's my ruler? Hey yo! Yeah, hear them high, hear the black king on the 23rd of July. So tell them guy who praise God up in the sky, it's a lie. The Almighty living on your night. From ancient time them a try. Them Romans know them just open them suit and ties. Criminals ain't got no alibi, they stole my people. Then them come without them genocide.
Are you talking about slavery?
Them couldn't kill the lion we come conquer Judah tribe. Go through tribulation, I and I strive, see sufferation, I and I still rise. That's why we tell them in America, live Rastafari in a every ghetto area. We come if you tell them in a Toronto, straight at it.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of His chosen Queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Chasmatch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man, creative industry attorney. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Talk. Welcome to Lion Talk and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story. Today's episode is one of those historic episodes. I want everyone to grab an ital snack. I want everyone to get themselves prepared because we are going deep into some history. This is not no play episode. I want you to prepare yourself. Legendary guest today. We are honored to have this guest. He's also family, so we're gonna hear how he's family to I and I, which I found out one of my uncle closest brethren growing up. So this is special, and he's very well known to Jamaica. So many of the items will not know there is this connection between I and one of Jamaica's historic figures, but it's there. Also, we are going to talk about history. This brethren lived through history, E.W.F, 12 tribe of Israel, whole heap of history. But not only that, we have to travel to Ethiopia. This brethren is a historian of Ethiopian history as well. Again, so many ones know him. I'm very honored. Before we bring forward the guests, let me just big up the Lion Pride. If you subscribe, you are part of the Lion Pride. We are now past 25,000 subscribers strong globally. Just got a comment from Portugal. Big up all of the Portuguese family. We are honored by the fact that Rastafari is so important to the family. We are dealing with high-level Rastafari, Pan-African reasonings. We're unapologetic on this platform, and it shows by our rate of growth that there is a need and there is a demand for this type of content in a world full of foolishness and nonsense. So big up the Lion Pride on Patreon. Big up the Ubuntu Lion Pride. Contributions over $70 and up gets you in the Ubuntu Lion Pride. We are also bigging up the Action Lion Pride. You can like, comment, share, spread it out. Let us continue to be the fastest growing Rastafari platform on the planet. We need, if you cannot contribute financially and you love these high level reasonings, just like, comment, share, spread it out across the four corners of creation. Also, big up the watch and peep, the watchers who are watching, and the peepers keep peeping. We don't pop down, we're growing, and we're not going anywhere. So big up Ras Lidge, Ramia King Design, Rastafari Business. Make sure you support the brother. I'm still waiting for ones to send me a picture with the product. Let me know you're supporting. Big up Ras Wolde. CMAS Life as well. Greatest CMAS drink on the planet. All right. So housekeeping out of the way. I want the Lion Pride to give us a warm welcome. As I said, I'm a family. This brethren was on radio for probably decades. We'll get the full history. Most Jamaicans know the name. Most Jamaicans know the face. And so, again, we're very honored to welcome the great Jerry Small. Welcome to Lion Talk.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, in 1959, after I was at Jamaica College, a high school in Jamaica, in the capital, it moved from the country. It started in the 1700s, I believe, in St. Anne on the north coast of Jamaica, not far from Cuba. And then it was transferred to the south coast of Jamaica in the 1800s. And it was made a college of the London University, where people were taught not only at a high school level, but were introduced to the London University courses, and then sit London University examination and get qualification on the way to profession. And then later Cambridge University qualification, leading to the same qualification in profession start by Cambridge University. And then later on, when the Caribbean islands, the English-speaking Caribbean islands, were enticed into a federation, the British saw that 13 of them colonies broke away from them in North America and formed a federation. So the British found that if they encourage their colonies to become federation, the colonies would have still maintained links with them instead of breaking away and become a nation. So the federal idea was an idea that the British learned from America, you know. And did
Okay.
you know that the white man in America learned of the federal idea from the Native American so-called Red Indian?
Okay, I
You
did
didn't know
not
that?
know. Hold on,
Yes.
stick a pin because this is a historian. This is a historian family, so we're going to go into many topics. So I'm gonna ask the eye. We have a tradition on this program. We ask our guests to enter into an heretical time machine and take us to the moment of your birth, where you were born, and give us your origin story. We want to know, before we get into the world history, we want to know, what your background, and also please let the people know how I and the I are related, the bloodlines intersect there in St. Anne as well. Please.
Well, I was born 3 years after the World War of white people. Because what they call the World War is when white people fight all around the world between themselves.
Yes.
So when white people started to catch up, when Europe started to catch up with Africa for the second time, is after North Africa was ruling South Europe for 800 years.
Okay.
North Africa ruled South Europe from about 700, not long after the Islamic foundation in Arabian Peninsula, which Arabian Peninsula is actually a part of the geographical mass. Africa and the Arabian Peninsula is one.
Mm-hmm. That was part of ancient Kush. Arabia was part of ancient Kush. Yes.
Yes, Kush is Kush span from Arabia to the Horn of Africa, and Sheba, which is the forerunner of Ethiopia, is from Arabia over to the Horn of Africa. Like how you say the United States grabbed the continent on the east and the north, and later on them grabbed them more than half of them neighbor. Is the English grabbing from the Spanish, and the Spanish conquer the Native American in Mexico? Even Mexico is a Native American word, you know. Mestizo and all them were there. Okay. So them grabbed that huge, that was much bigger than America. Now, Mexico was much bigger than America, you know.
Yes.
And then after the American colonists, them broke away from England and get strong through the help of France. Them American colonists grab away most of Mexico, the whole of California, Texas, and them places there. Arizona, a part of Mexico, a part of Spanish Mexico, where the Spanish grab from the Native Americans. So the European world been grabbing parts of indigenous people home. They fight over indigenous people home when they learn to travel. They learn to travel after us. I know you want me to go back to my birth, but they learn to travel overseas after us. We've been traveling overseas for thousands of years because we know of oceanic navigation. The Europeans only know coastal navigation. They could only sail along the sea coast where they can see the land. If they get out of sight of the land, they lost. So they know how to travel along coast right around Europe. That's why them boat them long and flat and low. Because it's just coastal travel. Them to the Vikings and all of them, and they are plunderer along coast. But the African learn long time overseas travel. You're not seeing no land at all, but you know where you are. You're so far out in the sea that you're not seeing no land. But because we have navigation, both from the stars and from the metal that we take and make compass, we can go overseas, out of sight of land, and still know where to find land. From we find north, we find south, east, and west. Yes. Anyway, so just to get back to, remind me to get back to the fact that the European learn about federal government from the Native American region.
I want to go to your birthplace though.
All right, my birthplace now. I born just after the World War, where the European fighting between one another over the world. Them call it World War.
Yes.
So the World War finished 1945,
Yes.
and right away, on the advice of Haile Selassie, His Imperial Majesty, the nations of the world that was autonomous decide to replace the League of Nations, which was a failure.
Yes.
Haile Selassie warned them that it would be a failure because the League of Nations did have inside it a built-in treachery against small states, and
Yes.
they implemented it against Ethiopia not small enough, but then
Yes.
call we small states because them have long-range weapon.
Yes.
So
Yes.
them, the League of Nations was set up after the First World War to try to bring an end to war
Yes.
by having an organization where you discuss peace all the while, and therefore war no broke out again. Now the United States, after breaking away, is the United Colonies, the 13 colonies were broke away from England, and formed them 13 government, and then form one government between the 13. So the United States is 50 country.
Yes.
Each
Yes.
state have a state government, like how Jamaica is a state, Ethiopia is a state. And yet they have a federal government of one in Washington, and them have state government in every state.
Yes.
So now America, after breaking away from them mama, which is England, and so they're not going to be like them mama. They're going to recognize the equality of all human beings. And that's why the American Constitution looks so beautiful, because it starts out by recognizing the equality of all human beings. At that time, them never realized that we, the African, also go and claim that equality too on the basis of the
Yes.
first
Yes.
sentence.
Because the Constitution also says that the African is only 2/3 of a man for the purpose of voting. So it
Yes, in
also,
other
the
words,
same document, it dehumanizes the African
yes,
at the same
yes,
time as declaring that all humans are
yes.
equal.
And at the same time declaring that all humans are equal, them left out even the white woman out of it. So them
Yes.
say all men
Yes.
equal, but eventually the white woman get equality, and eventually by extension, that is how justice works. You are a man of the law, and you know that the law of humans is inspired by the law of nature. The
Okay.
law of humans is breakable, but the laws of nature are unbreakable without immediate consequence.
Yes.
The law of gravity cannot be broken. The law of gravity is in force at all time. And all of the natural law, the law of nature, which is the law of good. The word God really is just a personification of the quality good. So God means all good. Do you know that all water is the same? Anywhere that water is found, it is the same.
Yes.
If you find water on Mars, it's the same as water on Earth. It is H2 part
Yes.
or 1 part. So
Yes.
all
Yes.
water is the same. All hunger is the same. All gravity is the same. All light is the same, although it behave in different ways. And all good is the same. So the word God means all good. What is the name that the Arabic people give to all good?
What is it?
What is the name that the Arab people call God or all good?
Oh, Allah.
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 And what is
Yes.
the name? What is the name that the Christian people give to all good?
Jesus.
No, that is a fraud thing. They brought in that, the Roman bring in that. The
Okay. So
original name is Almighty. All.
Almighty.
Allah is the same as all.
Okay.
And what is the name that the Jew, the Hebrew people they give to all good personified?
Yahweh.
That is one name, but the original one is El or Al. So most countries, most human in the world, them have some form of the concept of all being one, all.
Okay.
And the word Almighty is the same as Allah. is the same as L. It is the same as there are many other personifications with that AL or EL. So now, I'm why some I talk too loud. Anyway, so now the America after America learned federation from the Red Indian federal government. All of the tribes they are at war sometime, but they had a confederation of tribes long before the white people reached America. The tribes in different regions of America had confederations of tribes, and those confederations were always stronger and harder for the white man or any invader to put down. And gradually, the 13 colonists them learned is that method that the so-called Red Indian use. And them start to pattern the 13 colonists and make each one of we is a state. But let us have a federal government, a confederation like the Red Indian, and we will be undefeatable. Anyway, another policy them learn. After them learn, say all man is created equal, but they left out the woman. But later on is not. We know we bring them up to date and say all not all man, all human, because human include man and the hue, which is the woman, the reproducer, the multiplier. The woman is the multiplier, and the man is the initiator. The male is the initiator, the female is the multiplier. Anyway, so a little more now. Another policy that America learned, do not intervene in other people's affairs when they have them disputes. So America was isolationist by nature.
Yes. George Washington famously said no entanglement in foreign wars.
Yes, and for 150 years that kept them free of all entanglement. But it led to a bigger form of ego. Not entangling in foreign wars, but them claim the whole Western Hemisphere for themselves. Say the Western Hemisphere is for them backyard.
Yes.
So anything outside of the Western Hemisphere is foreign, but anything inside the Western Hemisphere, America rule.
The Monroe Doctrine. This is the Monroe Doctrine.
Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah,
and that's why up to yesterday. That's why up to yesterday you hear them declare themselves the custodian of the free world. Imagine saying that one country is the custodian and the leader of the free.
It gets back to the all. It's that concept that they run creation. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Which we know is going to lead to catastrophe. But take us forward to the birth now. I want to get
into the why I mentioned those things is because Haile Selassie did warn them.
Yes.
That from 1916, Haile Selassie take control of Ethiopia 1916.
At the age of 24. As the age of 24. Yes.
At the same time when Marcus Garvey departed to America to take over the leadership that Booker T. Washington vacated that year, December 1915. So Haile Selassie and Marcus Garvey, two of them launched international at the same time, and the two of them link up. Haile Selassie initiated the link with the UNI and Marcus Garvey. And anyway, long story short is that Haile Selassie from during the war, World War, warning them say, we have to have a worldwide organization to counteract the Conference of Berlin.
Yes.
The Conference of Berlin was European planning to divide up Africa and Arabia after them divide up India and Far East already. So Haile Selassie warned them say, if we have a world body that stop people from sitting on one side and divide up other people's place. America also was an isolationist country. The President of America at the time, Wilson, kept America out of the First World War from 1914. Never entered the World War till the year before the end of the war, 1917. Yes. And when him enter on one condition, I have a plan for a League of Nations.
Yes.
And if you don't agree that when the war done, you have a League of Nations to stop war, I now go enter. And the rest of the allies who didn't need the American help say, yes, we will have a League of Nations. America come in the war and rescue them. And yet when the League of Nations set up, America not going. Because I know it's still.
And also,
so
Congress did not approve, ratify the charter of the League. You know, Woodson, who was also a Ku Klux Klan Grand Dragon,
Yes.
who
Yes.
showcased the birth of a nation, a famous Ku Klux Klan propaganda, premiered it in the White House. So this is
Yes.
factual. He, you know, conceived the league, but America never joined the league because the Congress ratified the agreement, the same isolationist doctrine that I mentioned was very prevalent at the time. Continue, and then take us to the birth story.
I'm coming to the bird.
All
Now, at the same time, Tafari notified the world before the war done that as the war done, Ethiopia demand membership in the league. And they tried to keep Ethiopia out of the league, and Ethiopia never get to enter the league until 1923.
Yes.
It is this same League of Nations and Peace Conference that hand over Jerusalem and Palestine to England. And it's the same England promised the Jews in England that if you come into the war, because Jew like Jehovah Witness never go into no national war. Anyway, them live, them not join army, them not fight no war for no nation. So the British was offered by the British Prime Minister and King. Say if you come into the war and help win, we go and demand Palestine back from the enemy, because it was Germany and Turkey that did have Palestine. And when we get Palestine,
Ottoman Empire at the time.
Ottoman Empire, part of the Muslim, but not Arab.
This was the fall. World War I was the fall of the Ottoman Empire over that part of the earth. But continue.
Yes, they are Muslim, but they are not Arab. No people believe that Turkey, because them is Muslim, is Arab. They are not Arab. Iran also is not Arab.
They're Turks.
Anyway, so now, so Britain promised, say we go and demand to get Jerusalem as a peace treaty, and the Jordan and the lands around. And we go and get to the Jew them. The Jewish, them is not Jews, you know, they are Jewish. Like if a man tell you say the guy very small, he's not Rastafari, you know, he's Rastafari-ish. That means, you know, say he's not the real thing. So when you hear them are Jewish, you know, say join the thing. To get land. They join a religion that claim land.
Yes.
And they join to get the land, not because of no righteousness. I'm not fighting against no Jewish. But the fact is that they are Jewish.
Okay.
Anyway, at the same time, Haile Selassie, as the war done, sent a delegation to America to visit the African people and to visit the American government. He initiate diplomatic relations with the American government, and he initiate diplomatic relations with the African people through the UNIA and others. And that is how he come to help the UNIA. And then President Wilson reject the approach that Haile Selassie, that Tafari sent in 1919. You know about it?
No, please.
Wilson rejected it and never took up the diplomatic. Wilson never took up the diplomatic relation with Ethiopia because I'm not saying it's dangerous.
Okay.
Anyway, so anyway, when the World War II fight now same way again, Haile Selassie warned them from 1936. So if you betray Ethiopia, the world going to go to war again. And they did betray Ethiopia, including England was one of the biggest threats against Ethiopia.
Yes, England and France with the Hoare-Laval Pact. Secret agreement.
And when the war broke out, the war started in Ethiopia, 1935. Is Italy started the war with Ethiopia, that was the beginning of the World War, Second World War.
Yes.
And by 1936, the modern arms that Italy have, as against Ethiopia not being able to manufacture modern arms and planes, Ethiopia come to a crisis where the Crown Council advised the newly crowned king of 6 years, 1936, you have to leave out Ethiopia and go seek out help outside Ethiopia if we go win this war. And that is how Haile Selassie went into exile, not running away.
Yes.
He was authorized by the Crown Council, even though he have supreme authority. He was authorized because he was democratized in Ethiopia. Haile Selassie could have ruled without advice from anyone, you know, because the mandate of
ruled by decree.
But he chose not to. He chose to modernize.
To limit his own power. He's the first.
Yes, sir.
To limit
yes, sir. And divest it. Yes, I.
Yes,
With the
yes,
advice and Queen also.
yes, Empress
And
Many.
and so when he left Ethiopia and went into exile, you know where he went to spend his exile to gather the support?
Jerusalem first, and then
Yes,
to
only
Babylon.
Jerusalem first and only. That's the only place he left for. And when
Mhm.
he reached Jerusalem, which the British had had since 1918, all of the native Jews, not the Jewish, you know, the Jews, the Yemeni Jews, who is as darker and darker than you, Kwasi. Kwasi, the right pronunciation?
Yeah, Kwasi, yes.
Kwasi. The
Yes, sir.
Yemenite Jews and most of the Jews that was there from ever since, from before the time of Sheba, is darker skin than you. And all of them start to gather around Haile Selassie in 1936. And the mandate government of Britain got alarmed and said this man is going to come and take over Jerusalem. The history is there. I have the facts and documents.
Yeah,
And
man.
they begged him, because they will beg him to leave Jerusalem and offer, say, please come to England. If you stay at Jerusalem, you will take over Jerusalem. That is how Haile Selassie left Jerusalem.
Yes, because he was from the Solomonic throne, so they
Yes, sir.
said, by right, you know, you're here, your place.
Yes. And do you know the headquarters of the British Mandate government?
Yes.
You know what the government building did name in Jerusalem?
What was it named?
The King David Hotel.
Wow. Yes, I heard that name.
And it was it was like the White House complex. And Haile Selassie was given a suite in there, in the King David Hotel. And they asked him to leave there and go to England because I'm going to take over the whole place. That is a fact.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that is how I'm reaching that. But he was playing chess. So he knew all along what would happen.
Yes.
When he reached England, and the plane and the boat landed at the sea coast, the boat train carried from the sea coast into London. The British king, they just dead. And the crown prince was to take over the throne of England. And the British realized now, say, there's no king in England, and this man coming here, and him is a danger. They separated the black militants in London, and they pick out 5 of the main ones, and the huge crowd at the train station where you say the crowd around, and when they come down the gangplank, remember those pictures where Haile Selassie come down the gangplank?
Yes, famous pictures.
The huge, and coming off of the train, the huge crowd in England and London, they separate 5 of the leaders of the black community and separate out Marcus Garvey out of those 5. Carry them into a railway car and introduce to Haile Selassie and isolate Marcus Garvey from Haile Selassie, who was in contact with Haile Selassie. From Haile Selassie sent delegate to the 1920 and 21 convention of the UNIA in America and send money and send land grant. That's what Tafari did from 1920 and 21. I was in communication.
I always highlight this fact because some people like to paint Haile Selassie as a wagonist to the Pan-African movement, and I always cite the young Tafari work supporting the UNIA in the 20s when Nkrumah and all of these African fathers were children, you know what I mean? So
yeah, yes, sir.
Yes. But
so now Marcus Garvey was isolated, and a certain number of leaders, you know some of them. Ras Tafari was one. You know him?
From Guyana.
Guyana UNIA man who take on Ras Tafari of the name of Haile Selassie father. And 4 more leaders were carried and introduced to Haile Selassie in London. Marcus Garvey was deliberately isolated over there. Divide and rule is a pass. The British are past masters at the game of divide and rule, but Haile Selassie is past master at the game of chess.
Yes.
The game of chess is a territorial game. Most board game, most of the game I play on board, whether Ludo, Snake and Ladder or Monopoly, is about territory. Board game is about territory and it's war games, tactical games. Anyway.
Hold on there. Stick a pin. I want the Lion Pride. Make sure you have your ital snacks. Make sure you prepare, you know. This is history. If you need a pen and paper, just use your pen and paper. We don't get to the birth yet, you know. Remember that. We just we're setting the context. This is a historian of the magnitude we have not had on the channel. So continue, please.
Yes, sir. So in England now, 1936, Haile Selassie reached there. They isolate Marcus Garvey from him. Marcus Garvey got disgruntled because he tried to contact Haile Selassie by telegram in London.
Okay.
No, you know, that is only because social media now. Because remember, it's over 2 months now, you and me are trying to get in contact, you know. And if the certain forces can prevent us getting in contact and linking up, they do so.
Yes.
It's only because we determine, like you said, the lion is telling the lion story now.
That is important. And this is going to be my family here. We're going to get to that part too. He's going to be a regular contributor on this platform. I want the people to know this is just the beginning.
That would be my privilege.
Yeah, man. Because there's too much history, but continue.
Yeah, so Marcus Garvey sent telegram to Haile Selassie about 3 times. Do you know the agents in America that deliver mail?
Yes.
Federally?
The USPS, United States Postal Service.
Yes, sir. US Mail.
Yes.
And that is why it was Marcus Garvey. It was to trap Marcus Garvey and the UNIA that the American government realized we cannot trap him with state law. We have to trap him with federal law.
Yes.
And that is how they contrive. That is how the FBI was born, you know.
Yeah, man. J. Edgar Hoover, the first black agent was hired to take down Marcus Messiah Garvey.
Yeah, was sent into the organization and attained high posts. And it is a federal charge. Remember, it's yesterday that it has been exonerated, you know.
It was not exonerated, it was pardoned. It was pardoned, it's not exonerated. So we fight to go because he was
thanks for that. Thanks for that, learned counsel.
Yes.
You know, we have to yield to the trained professional.
Yes.
People that are trained in certain fields, we do acknowledge their authority, speaking of the authority. So here it is now. Marcus Garvey, in America it is a federal mail, the US mail that deliver things interstate. In England it is the Royal Mail.
Okay.
Do you expect the Royal Mail to carry a telegram from Marcus Garvey to Haile Selassie in London after the royal government tried to prevent them from meeting in London?
No.
So all of these telegrams was not delivered to Haile Selassie. And Marcus Garvey, having been frustrated in Jamaica, in America first, put in prison, then deported to Jamaica, then rise up the first modern political movement in Jamaica, and then imprisoned immediately. Property of the organization taken away, private property of Marcus Garvey taken away, property of his wife taken away. Marcus Garvey was broken by 1935 and left Jamaica, gone in exile in England. And when him can't get in contact with Haile Selassie, him get frustrated and make some misjudgment. I love Marcus Garvey up to now.
Yes.
But he make misjudgment like what anyone. The man we named Jesus. Now the guy we named Jesus is not the white man.
Yes.
But the Roman, when the Roman couldn't overcome the Jesus movement, when them kill him, it gets stronger. And you know, so when you kill a leader and the movement gets stronger, you know you're in trouble. But when them kill him and it gets stronger, it took them 300 years to come to the conclusion, so we have to infiltrate this movement. And we have to go try to take it.
I was just having this discussion with a brethren, the brethren burned the Bible and doesn't believe that Yeshua was a historical person. And I was telling him, if you see, the force that would cause the Roman Empire to shift from Jupiter and Zeus and to adopt, this man from North Africa as a figure and have to create him as a European and shift the whole empire.
Not only that, they push the concept that him is God. Jesus never come here for no one to declare him as the God. Okay. Him come here all right. The guy named Jesus, and I call him guy not as a disparagement.
Yes.
The man named Jesus, the youth, it was a youth.
Yeah, man.
He was executed for a capital crime.
Yes.
What is could you explain to your audience what is a capital crime?
This is one of the highest offenses, and it's given by the chief legal authority. So this would be in America federal crime of the highest, like treason. Would be considered a capital offense.
Yes, capital crime is a crime punishable by death.
Yes, that is right.
Like when my man is saying, I shot the sheriff.
Yes.
Him say, I shot the sheriff. And they say it's a capital offense. So now the guy Jesus was executed for a capital crime by who? Who was executed by?
The Roman government.
Roman.
Yes.
Then how can a man who is a Palestinian be executed by a foreign government?
Exactly.
How that happen?
Yes.
Because the foreign government had invaded this country 63 years before him born.
Yes. There was a colony.
Rome invaded Palestine 63 years before the Jesus was born.
Yes, I.
And it's an imperial power. It's an empire. Them claims that Palestine no part of them empire. And when them say a young man, because it was prophesied, remember, the Palestine people, the Hebrew them, had been conquered many times, and sometimes the conqueror take away all of them and carry them back into the mainland, into the land, Them take them out of them own land and carry them gone in a Babylon, Remember them take them out, them take out town of them and carry them back.
Yes, the Nebuchadnezzar time, yes, I.
And Daniel, remember Daniel, not only Daniel, but the one with all them on the Shadrach, Meshach. So sometimes the imperialists capture you and carry back in them land. Sometimes them stay in your land and enslave the land. And sometimes, most time, the elite in your people join up with the foreigner to get privilege. Don't you know that most time when your country is invaded, the elite, those who like comfort life, join with the invader and the conqueror against them own people. That's why the scribe and the Pharisee and the Sadducee and those people are Herod. Herod was the local king, the local Jewish king,
Yes.
We join up with Rome against them own people, So that is why now Caesar did claim the title King of Kings, because I know him conquer. Him say he's the king of that local country.
Yes,
so him is King of Kings. The official title of the head of Iran, the Shah of Iran. Shahan Shah, Shah mean king, And Shahan Shah mean King of Kings.
Yes.
Anyway, Ethiopia is an empire,
Yeah, man.
But when Haile Selassie born, when Tafari born, Tafari's father Makonnen make him know say, empire must be dismantled. Empire is when one tribe conquer the surrounding tribes. And Makonnen make this little boy know say, we cannot go on as an empire and conquer the people them around we and claim that our people is the head of the empire. And the official language of the empire must be our language, Amharic. That is imperial design. And Tafari grew up knowing that empire must be dismantled. And from him crown 1930 and before that him started dismantling. That's why there are nobles and royalty in Ethiopia was never like him, Because he was dismantling the whole empire system of Ethiopia. And he turned it into a federation.
Yes.
Don't you know that Ethiopia was turned to a federation in 1952?
Yes. Eritrea was federated before it was.
And what is Eritrea? What is Eritrea?
Eritrea is the Bahar Nagash, which was the ancient seaport of the Aksumite Empire.
Yes, it's not only the seaport. It's not only the seaport. It's the whole seacoast of Ethiopia that had been stolen thousands of years before.
Yes.
So when a country lose them seaport, they are landlocked.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that Tafari know from a little boy. We must get back our seacoast.
Yes.
Because Italy did grab the seacoast.
And the Ottomans, they got that from the Ottomans before them.
Yes.
The Turks.
Yes. So now, Ethiopia, Marcus Garvey start to write some dreadful thing in the newspaper in London against Tafari. Saying, imagine Tafari come to London and I try to contact him and him don't reply to me. So him write Miley, I don't know what happened. I don't get any reply from Haile Selassie. The next 2 months him write. I wonder why him write back in the paper and say, I wonder why Haile Selassie don't reply to me. I wonder, and I see him going having tea in a book in the House of Lords with white people. And then the next month him say, wait, Haile Selassie runner from Ethiopia and I have tea with white people. If you associate with black people, Haile Selassie him descend from Solomon and Sheba. Solomon is a white man. We not deal with no Solomon. We love Sheba, but Haile Selassie I grab up Solomon and start to criticize heavily this man who been backing him for 20 years before. But anybody can get frustrated, you know. And anybody can make mistake of judgment when they are under frustration. So that happened to Marcus Garvey.
Yes, I did,
Anyway,
I did a whole episode on this very topic and show the progression. Yes. As you said, the first article was very,
mild.
Yeah, very mild, and also, you know, hopeful that His Majesty would prevail, and then it just went downhill from
more
there.
Vitriolic. And because of that, when I was growing up, there was a heavy antipathy instead of sympathy, same feeling, antipathy, anti-feeling between the Rastafari family and the Garveyite family and the Maroon and several others.
Okay.
Because of the various wrongs and mistakes that have been made between these groups.
Okay.
So now, but gradually we work over the past 60, 70 years to break down that, and it has been largely broken down. Eventually, Italy was the first fascist nation, you know. And Hitler and Germany is just an imitation of Italy and Mussolini.
Yes.
And Mussolini never respect Hitler at all, you know. He used to despise him, you know, as a barbarian, you know, uncouth and unsophisticated. And because of that, Italy never joined with Germany in the Second World War, you know.
Yes.
Until Italy was in trouble and Germany was about to conquer England, right? That time Haile Selassie the England 4 years, you know. Yes. 1940, the beginning of 1940, Germany get on top of England so much that the Battle of Britain taking place, and Germany is about to invade Britain, you know. And at the same time Germany about to invade Britain, Mussolini now decide to join with Germany to give them the added strength so that them can conquer the Western nation, the capitalist nation, them of England and America and France. And it is when Italy declared war against England and joined Germany, the new Prime Minister of England, Churchill, sent for Haile Selassie in Bath and said, beg him, please come talk to me because only you can rescue England and the West out of this world war. And when Haile Selassie sat with Churchill, Churchill said to Haile Selassie, we are going to defend Ethiopia and ask you to lead an army back into Ethiopia through Egypt and conquer Italy in the continent of Africa and conquer Germany and Rommel and the desert right them. And so it was an agreement was made that Haile Selassie is going to be given all of the military help that he needs. And he left London in December 1940, enter Egypt and start climb up through the hill to Ethiopia. And that is how the World War turned around. Ethiopia was the first place liberated in the Second World War. 4 years before the Second World War done, Ethiopia was liberated in May 1941, exactly 5 years after Haile Selassie walked out of Addis Ababa.
And one of the things we have to emphasize is that the army that liberated the British troops were Kenyans, Ugandans. It was a Pan-African army made up of the colonial soldiers. They had white generals, because Wingate always get all of the acclaim as a British officer that served in India. But we don't talk enough about the sacrifice of the African soldiers who were under British colonial rule that actually fought alongside the Ethiopian guerrilla fighters.
Yes, it was the African soldiers from the places that England steal in Africa.
Yes.
That liberate Europe in the First World War. It was African soldiers from the Caribbean who the British carried to Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and them places. A British West India regiment were freed them up when they was losing those countries in the 1800s. And as the African soldier in the Second World War, King's African Rifle, the Englishman, you understand me? Norman Manley and all them hundreds of thousands of West Indian soldiers and Jamaican. So that's what they always do. That is how imperialism and colonialism work. You grab places and incorporate them, say your empire, and anyway. So now Ethiopia free from 1941, and England tried to take away the government from Haile Selassie in Ethiopia.
Yes.
1941. And Haile Selassie turned the table on them. He decided to divide them, to rule them. He divided America from England.
Yes.
Haile Selassie contact Roosevelt and tell Roosevelt, say, I need to meet with you, Roosevelt. And Roosevelt decide to meet Haile Selassie in Egypt,
Yes.
in the harbor of Egypt on a battleship. And the two of them was on that battle. Yeah.
And
they was
I
on
think
that
Stalin also joined them at a point too.
Yes, but that is at the end of the World War 45, but I'm talking about 1942 now.
Okay.
Roosevelt and Haile Selassie meet in Alexandria in the sea there. And Haile Selassie make Roosevelt know, say, you are an anti, you draw away from England. You break away from them. Well, England's trying to take over the government in Ethiopia now. And I want you, the American people, to back off England. And I want you to give me all of the military and financial assistance that England said them been giving me. I'll get them out of Ethiopia. And that is how he divided them from one another. I was able to keep Ethiopia free.
He shall have them in derision. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes. Why do they then rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves together and say, there is going to rule over us. And so on and so on. Anyway, long story short, the allies, which is England, America, Ethiopia, and then the allies, which is a capitalist country, had to call on their biggest enemy to help them. Yes. Russia, the communist revolutionary government of Russia is the biggest enemy of America and England. And yet, to save themselves from Italy and Germany, they had to make alliances with their biggest enemy, Russia. And Russia also was one of the allies in the Second World War. But as the Second World War done, immediately the Cold War started. The same Russia will rescue them. England and America now start fight a war without bullet against Russia because Russia going to spread in communism and overthrow capitalism in America. So the Cold War started. Yeah. So immediately, Iron Curtain, yes. So immediately as the World War done, as Haile Selassie told them, you have to form a new organization that is really going to work to hold world peace, and that is how the United Nations formed immediately after the Second World War done, 1945.
Yes.
But the IMF and the CIA also was formed same time.
Yes.
The IMF, the World Bank, and the CIA, and the plan to crush back the world formed same time, secretly behind the corner. So now, after it formed 1945, Haile Selassie and others make them know, say, you have to list out a group of human rights and declare a human rights charter so that every human in the world know them rights. So by 1948, 3 years later, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was declared on the 10th of December, 1948.
Groundbreaking document.
Yes, sir. So now, that are the same year when me born. Me born at the beginning of that year.
You get to the birth, you see it there, family.
Yeah, me born in that middle of them time there. So when I was growing up, all of these circumstances had a big play on my understanding of what the world is.
Okay. And what parish were you born in?
I born in a St. Anne in Jamaica with them name after them royal family, St. Anne and St. James and all of them royal family.
Okay.
Born in a St. Anne and grew up in a St. Anne and then come back to Kingston, come live, because my father was like you, a black lawyer.
Okay.
And after a while, only 3 black lawyers in Jamaica could make a good living. It's most of the white lawyers make a good living.
Yes.
The 3 black lawyers who could make a good living was Norman Manley, a man named Jack Smith, and a next man named Erasmus Campbell.
Okay.
So my old man as a young lawyer come back to Jamaica in 1934 from England. Couldn't make a good living to maintain a family, and him want to get married. So him decide to go in at the government service instead of be a lawyer out the road. Okay. So him go in a government service, got on clerk of the courts. And you know when you work with government, they move you from place to place.
Yes.
So moving from place to place, after when I reach 5-year-old, they move my father go back to Kingston, and that's how me get to know Kingston. But at St.
Okay.
Ann, and then I had some other relative in St. Ann, them named Small, and some of them moved go Trelawney. And then when I had 11-year-old, I meet up on a Small from Trelawney at JSU with my little boy. And when me and my reason, I find out, say, I'm the same family, come from Trelawney, and your mother is his sister.
Yes,
I like,
yes. No, I was waiting on that because I want the people to know the line. This is an actual family of I and I. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that can I tell people that, even before we reason the first time, because my Uncle Mike always tell me about the I and reason of the I, as a great man.
yes.
And you have to reason with Brother Jerry, and you know what I mean? So I always had that joy to know that we were related, but I'm glad that you have put it on the record so that the world will know that it's not just I man I said these things,
No, these
but
are the facts.
yes,
But
yes.
listen,
Mm-hmm.
me and your uncle Randy Small,
Yes, the great.
from when a little boy 11, 12, 13, we form a clique of youth at Jamaica College.
Yes.
We decided that we are going to tear down the social barrier.
Okay.
And we did tear down the social barrier at Jamaica College.
Okay.
That by the time I listened to visit Jamaica, 7 years later, Jamaica College was outstanding as producing so much Rasta youth that it became a national problem. And they took Haile Selassie up to Jamaica College to visit the school.
Yes.
So
I remember seeing him there.
Yeah, man, I meet him because I didn't leave school 2 years before.
Okay.
Me around the left school 64.
Okay.
But as young Rasses now, when Haile Selassie come Jamaica, I listen to the news the evening after him come the Thursday evening, and I hear the itinerary where them carry him go next day. And I hear them say tomorrow Haile Selassie will be opening the Haile Selassie school where him donate the money for. And when him leave, him going to go down to the parliament. Him going to go to Michael College. And him going to go to the parliament. And then him going to go visit the prime minister. And when him left the prime minister at the bottom of Hope Road, him going to go drive to the middle of Hope Road and visit Jamaica College. So when I hear that, I said, nobody can stop me from going there. So. I had 18-year-old left the school 2 years before. Okay. When I reach up at Jamaica College midday, I come 1 o'clock. When I reach at Jamaica College midday, I see the whole of the youth them stream out of the school gate. So I stopped them because I know some of them were there at school more than 2 years. I said to them, where you go, where you go? He said them send them home. I said, what do you mean them send you home? He said the headmaster said them to go home. I said them never tell us I head of state to come visit Jamaica. They never tell us I come. They say no. You see the treachery? Send home the entire school population and don't tell them say Haile Selassie coming.
Wow.
So I go on up in there. When I go up there, I see the cadet corps on parade waiting till the Selassie come. And when I look on the veranda, I see the entire prefect body. And when I look, I see the boarding school. Them live at the school, so them still there.
Yes.
So when I stand up, they know I wait. I see some special branch police. You know who is special branch?
No, explain.
Special branch is MI6 in England. MI5 and MI6.
Okay.
Them are the secret police. Them are the political police who watch the enemies of the government.
Okay.
So three of the special branch man surround me and tell me must leave out of school compound. So I resist them. But a government official now, who was chief of protocol, he make all arrangement with foreign visitor. Him stay one side and see them a try put me out and him run come cross. He was also the most prominent football referee in Jamaica, Ken Chaplin.
Okay.
So as a referee, him run come cross and blow him whistle. And I say hands off. and tell the police, say, leave him alone, he's a past student of this school. And that is how I escaped the police. I put me out of school because I'm a watcher for years, you know.
Yes, yes,
And when I look on the veranda of the main building, one day I'm going to show you that picture.
yes.
I see the entire prefect body stand up there. So and all of them are young youths to me, you know. So I say I'm going to stand up there because I know them police going to try a thing again when the
Yeah.
rest now look.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
When I go stand up there, some of the youth them yell me. Peter Phillips was there, and some
Okay.
others that become prominent in the Rasta movement.
Okay.
And when I stand up amongst
History.
them, some of them, yes, I stand up and look outside onto the driveway because we are waiting for the car driving. And I hear some of the voice them behind me start to taunt me. So I hear one of the voice, hey, small, you idiot. About to drop out of school and turn Rasta. I no answer him. I hear the next one say, hey, small, I listen to business with Rasta. I want to talk about, you know, praise Haile Selassie. I know answer. I hear a third one say, Haile Selassie can't even talk English. So at that time, you know, I turn around and I look on the one who said that and I say, Haile Selassie live in England for 5 years and him can't talk English and I stop talk. A few minutes later, we hear the siren. And there is the motorcade drive coming at JC. You could hear a pin drop. And when the car draw up, Bruce Golden was the head boy. Them send him go the car down at the car side. We go greet Haile Selassie and then make a speech. I'm going to show you them photo there one day.
Yeah, man, yeah, man. History.
So them carry Haile Selassie inside of the school and them carry him right beside where we there, you know, on the veranda. Well, on the veranda, I stand up nearest to the column at the end of the veranda and I see a table right there. And when I look at the table, I see a big book bound in leather. Brand new. And when I look on the book, it marks Visitor's Book. So you know what this one now?
Yes.
I know I left this one. I stand up right on the table. And it marks Visitor's Book. And when them carry Haile Selassie go inside of the library, go show them the artwork with the student them do. And I'm show them all of the book them in the library. And now when I am 9-year-old, I go into the library. And I read the National Geographic 1931. And I see Haile Selassie Man of the Year, Time Magazine, and the coronation of Haile Selassie 1930 with me a 9-year-old in the same library.
Wow.
And it's when them done carry him out of the library, them a walk with him come out because I'm going to go up a class now. College of Art, Science and Technology. That's where your uncle Randy, you know.
Yes,
I'll leave
yes.
JC and carry him up a class. And when him a pass the door and the column, when me there, them say to him, say, hold on, please, Imperial Majesty, please come and sign the visitor's book. And him come right when me there.
Hot.
And him sign the visitor's book. And the whole of the youth, them crowd around the table and watch him. And him turn around the book, and the book upside down to because we are on the other side of the table.
Yes,
Him
yes.
turn around the book from upside down. I'm writing an Amharic script in and Roman letters.
Yes,
Or
yes.
Arabic letters. And him use them and do so and call, because as an Ethiopian calling, them put them on upside down.
Yes.
You can see me, them put them on upside down and do so. As an Ethiopian calling.
Yes,
It's
yes.
polite, like a polite call.
Okay.
And them call me to the whole of the crowd on the table. You only hear him trace him finger on the first line of Amharic script. And him say that is the name. And him trace him finger on the second line and say, and that is the date. And him just bow him head to it.
Describe that feeling.
How I describe it, I turn around and look on the boy who tell me 10 minutes before that Haile Selassie can't talk English. And I don't say a word to that boy in English. I just look on him. Because Haile Selassie just tell us that that is the name and that is the date.
Art.
and I go make a mistake and go reveal to some youth, we are Rasta youth at the school. Years later, when we was a member of the Ethiopian World Federation, we start visit all the school them. I go tell them, so when we visit the school today, I tell them, so we would like to sign the visitors book. And then bring the visitors book. And when them bring the visitors book and we assign it, I man show them the first entry in the book. And you know, so the book they're going to go missing though.
Oh, wow.
You know, sometimes you use the indiscretion and you know, say,
Yes.
let sleeping dogs lie.
Yes.
I remember Burning Spear first hit
What
Door
was
Peep. What you talk about? Door Peep.
shall not enter.
Yeah, but sometimes you want to share these things because Haile Selassie did teach me that the greatest speech we make it teach me so much things. When
Yes.
Haile Selassie go to America 2 times, him go 1954. And him go back 1963, just before the march on Washington, or just
Yes.
after.
Yes.
And when him go in the United Nations, him said to them, say, only I have addressed the League of Nations and now come address the United Nations. And because of that, I have certain responsibility. And I would like what life has taught me. Who him say teach him? Who him say
Life.
teach him?
Life.
Life. Life is God. God is life.
Haile.
Say what life has taught me, I would like to share. But I don't want to share with everybody, you know. Just like how I shouldn't share certain thing with everybody because I know that I suspect that book won't go missing.
Yes. Yes.
So what
Yes.
life has taught me about racial discrimination, I would like to share with those who care to learn. I know that there's some who don't care to learn. And that is how I start the speech that say that until the philosophy
Yes.
that all one nation superior and another inferior is dismantled and discredited. So I teach them at the United Nations, say, United
Yes.
Nations will go like the League of Nations if them continue behaving like how 1936
And we're
done.
witnessing that right now. You know,
Yes,
they
sir.
fail
Gaza,
to,
Gaza, Gaza.
yeah, they fail to listen to the recommendations, the many recommendations to reform the Security Council, to constitute a UN security force that
Yes,
is funded by the member
permanent.
states. Yeah, permanent, you know, to intervene. There was many recommendations His Majesty outlined that all of them have been rejected, and they've chosen a path that now takes us on the path to this global calamity that we're seeing unfold in slow motion.
Yeah.
So that is so powerful. So after His Majesty visit, what was your trajectory? Because you were a witness to the rise of the E.W.F in Jamaica as well as the 12 tribe of Israel. What was that journey like?
Well, from before that, I become conscious of the work of the E.W.F. 1964. I was 16 years old.
Okay.
And then now through my father was a serious Garveyite.
Yes.
And my father also was a serious Garveyite. So we grew up conscious of the efforts of the black people, the African people, to recover all that was lost. That is what the word redemption means, you know, getting back everything we did lose. Redemption.
Yes, yes.
So when I learned of the history of that in Ethiopia, and when I learned that after the World War done 1945, and Haile Selassie already returned to Ethiopia 4 years ago, 1941, him set up, when he was in England, and when Marcus Garvey started to fight against Haile Selassie openly, that is why he formed the Ethiopian World Federation, because he could no longer rely on the UNIA.
Yes.
And there were people in the West, in America, in the Caribbean, in England, gathering money to help Ethiopia. And some of them were stealing the money. So Haile Selassie decided to form an organization that is going to gather all of the support outside of Ethiopia to help Ethiopia win back the war. And that is how he formed the Ethiopian World Federation by sending his cousin Malaku Bayen back to America, where he had sent him previously to study at Howard University. Send him back to America, where he had a wife, a black. Malaku Bayen was married to a black American woman. So I'm sending him back to America to establish the Ethiopian World Federation to gather the people outside Ethiopia and to gather the help that they are giving to Ethiopia, help free Ethiopia. And after the war done, he decided to put aside some land, especially for anybody outside Ethiopia who want to come and settle in Ethiopia as a reward to the Ethiopian World Federation. So for years, me and my youth brethren and sistren, especially one Frank Haspel, where I meet who did have the same knowledge. The two of us start walk up and down and visit every one of the Federation chapter, but none of them was being run properly. Once somebody become the president, they act as if they own the organization for them personal selves. That was like a tradition amongst the black people now. Most of the black people organization, they end up as the ownership of the most influential person for life. That was almost, and they become personality cults around main personalities a lot of the time.
Yes, yes.
So anyway, after His Majesty visit now, a lot of my colleagues at Jamaica College, when them leave Jamaica College, them go to the university. So there was a nice little big group of JC youth at the University of the West Indies. Even when His Majesty he went up to the university campus after he left JC. And Garth White, who was the head of the cadet band at Jamaica College, when he went to UA immediately after Selassie visit, and was the first Rastafari at University of West Indies. Him also happened to be my wife's brother. Then we moved together from a little boy. G. White. So now a strong contingent of Rasta youth, both male and female, start to grow at the university. And most of them live in Augustown, while some of them go to university and some of them like me work out a road. But yes, we are become one community. And then we are when Walter Rodney, the great African historian and activist, came back to Jamaica because he had studied at the University of the West Indies as an undergrad. And after graduating in 1965, I believe, or 66, he got his doctorate at 24 years old, 1966. Okay. And he went on and settled in Tanzania and was teaching. And then 1967, December, he left and came to Jamaica to teach back at his alma mater, U.W.I. And when he met us, some of our brethren was in a history class. And when he met us and heard of the work we were doing, he decided to help us by teaching history classes at our weekend educational movements that we were going on with right around the island. Okay. We formed an organization named African Youth Move.
Okay.
I want to come help us. So the momentum of the Rasta movement was growing more and more, and we were in contact with hundreds of Rasta youth right around the island. And we started to publish a newspaper. And the government of Jamaica get very jumpy because the government of Jamaica between 3 years of independence, so-called independence, by 1965 they were so unpopular that they were afraid of the people of Jamaica. As a matter of fact, within 8 months of the independence of Jamaica in August 62, they attacked the Rastafari movement and tried to wipe out the Rastafari movement in Jamaica, starting at the Coral Gardens, attempt to wipe out the life of hundreds of Rastafari. But we resisted and grew stronger and stronger.
Okay.
Many things ensued after that, and Haile Selassie gave out a new chart of the Ethiopian World Federation in 1967 on his third visit to America. What's that?
I said I did not know that.
Yes, he gave out a new charter to a man in Chicago named Reverend Evans. A lot
Okay.
of the African-minded people in America were also Christian preachers.
Yes.
And there has been a long tradition of Ethiopianism around the world where black people in Africa identify with the Bible because Ethiopia is a key part of the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. So you call that tradition of identifying with the Bible by black people Ethiopianism.
Yes.
Now the emperor before Haile Selassie was Menelik.
Yes.
Menelik had ruled Ethiopia from about 1889.
Yes.
But Menelik don't have any son. So when Menelik getting old, his first cousin was also a minister of foreign affairs, which was Haile Selassie's father, Ras Makonnen.
Yes.
And Ras Makonnen was well traveled outside of Africa and Ethiopia.
Yes.
And Menelik hear that him have a son that is very bright. From the age of 7, learn to speak foreign language, learning mathematics and various things beyond his years.
Yes, genius
So
level.
Menelik, yes, a child prodigy, Tafari. And Menelik tell his cousin that I want to know your son because I want you to be the emperor of Ethiopia after me and your son might be the emperor after you. But Makonnen did think to himself, I don't think I'm going to live longer than Menelik. So I want to prepare my son Tafari to take that throne of Ethiopia because I don't, and he was right, he did die before Menelik.
Yes.
Died in 1906, I believe.
Yes.
Menelik died in 1911, I believe, 5 years later. But Tafari was being, the thing about it, Menelik and Makonnen used to send mission of Ethiopians to the Western Hemisphere from in the 1800s. Did you know that?
Yes, yes.
And they sent Ethiopian delegates to Mexico, Panama, and the United States of America. And when they went to New York, they found that the most famous black church in New York was called the Abyssinian Baptist Church.
Yes, yes.
And they know that then up to that time, Ethiopia was known worldwide as Abyssinia.
Abyssinia, yeah.
So the Menelik and Makonnen made contact with that church and gave them a special support. That is where Adam Clayton Powell Sr. was the pastor there in the late, I think from in the late 1800s, 1890s. And then Adam Clayton Powell Jr. became a pastor also and a black activist and a black militant.
Yes.
But the thing about it is that Ethiopia later changed the name to the ancient name of Ethiopia, not Abyssinia. Abyssinia is really an Arabic word, Habash.
Yes.
From the word Habash.
His Majesty is the one who made that change formally.
Yes, His Majesty changed back to it now. As a consequence of that, the first time I know about Ras Tafari and Ethiopia, when my parents go to England and come back 1953, I was 5-year-old.
Yes.
Them bring back a stamp album for my brother, them and me. Because collecting stamp was one of the main hobbies of little boys at that time.
Okay.
So when the stamp album come now, you collect stamp and you paste in a stamp album, you try to get stamp from every foreign country and paste in under the name of that foreign country alphabetically from the first country to the last country. Okay. And when I opened the stamp album at 5 years old, the first country in the stamp album begin with A, Abyssinia. Okay. And when me look on two stamp on the first page of the stamp album, I see a stamp mark Ras Tafari. I one beard man with a big head of hair on it. Rasta, me get to know the name Ras Tafari Abyssinia in a stamp album. I still have that stamp. I'm going to show you one day.
Please,
please.
Yeah, man, that would be a great honor. You know what I mean? So in terms of the uprising of the E.W.F, because I spoke to Muta on this platform, and Muta said when he started in the 12 tribe of Israel, him see the I was already well established there, and the I brother. So I want to get from your time in the E.W.F and then going into the formation of the 12 tribe of Israel.
Well, when his Majesty visit America in 1967, and him did visit Canada too, and there's a famous interview of him driving on a train in Canada and being interviewed by a man who have a radio program named Bringing Christ to the Nation. Anyway, when him
Hoffman.
reaching America,
Hoffman is
yeah,
the name.
Hoffman,
Yes.
yeah. When him reaching America, a man break through the line where they were carrying his Majesty between the crowd. Because you know, sometimes you break through and you know, it's a thing, sometimes you want to meet somebody. He broke through the line and made contact with his Majesty and make his Majesty know he's appealing for a resurrection of the Ethiopian World Federation, because all of them was defunct, not operating properly, and dead, pure old people in it, no activity, and they just using it like a lodge hall, you know, a lodge hall and friendly society and the elks and the moose and them the people. This man named Reverend Evans, a young man, Haile Selassie told him to contact him back again, and he kept contact with his Imperial Majesty, and his Majesty sent a new chart about give him some things to do. He gave him some assignments to fulfill, and say if you fulfill that assignment, I will give you 10,000 acres of land in a different part of Ethiopia from Shashamane.
Okay.
So some of my old-time brethren, one of them used to work at Water Commission beside JC.
Okay.
So some of we JC youth will start smoke and a reason with Rastaman. Used to reason with this brethren who come at the fence at the Water Commission and a reason with we when we are youth and we are smoke. And he and him friend heard about this man, wrote to this man in Chicago, and the man sent a new charter to them and said start an organization in Jamaica.
Okay.
But the constitution of the Ethiopian World Federation, written by His Majesty and Malaku by him, it says that it's sent to the people of the black people of the world to gather themselves. And when you get a charter, you must gather 25 people as members. If you fail to gather those 25 members, you will not be recognized as a charter because you have not demonstrated your ability to organize.
Yes.
So those brethren got that charter, and it was signed on the 25th of February 1968, which was a big year right around the world. There was a big explosion right around the world of black people and unoppressed people. Same year that the Walter Rodney explosion took place in Jamaica, and the brethren got that charter.
And MLK was assassinated, wasn't that 68 too?
What's that?
Martin Luther King assassination.
Yeah, Martin Luther King was assassinated April 1968.
And that sent America into
Kennedy, and then Kennedy was assassinated within weeks.
Yes.
And the America catch a fire.
Yes, because RFK was assassinated in 63. But his brother was assassinated after that. Yes.
68. And then at the Mexico Olympics, the Black Power movement, including the Jamaicans, decided to demonstrate to the world that we're going to beat you on the track, and then we're going to demonstrate on the podium. So Tommy Smith and John Carlos, the most spectacular demonstration previous to Usain Bolt. Those are the two iconic witnesses of demonstrating to the world. Tommy Smith and John Carlos, Black Power salute, and Usain Bolt, lightning and thunder. Mabrock.
Art.
Of Usain Bolt.
Art.
1968. And that explosion took place the same day of the explosion in Jamaica. Tommy Smith and John Carlos marched down the 200 meters on the 16th of October. and were ordered out of Mexico at gunpoint. And Tommy Smith have him firearm in a sweatsuit. You know that?
No, the first me I hear that.
Yes, sir.
Hold on there, stick a pin. Lion Pride. I don't know if the item realize the level of history, the detail. We are here with a living archive. I hope that the item have your ital snacks. If you need to get some more because we're going into history here that can only be told by our living witness. Continue.
Yes, I so when the charter come out Jamaica, the brethren start to organize. Brother Douglas got the charter, and Brother Chambers was the second. Brother Douglas and Brother Chambers are long-time Ethiopian World Federation members from them a youth.
Yes.
And then another one joined with them named Brother Vernon Carrington.
Okay.
But it's not him get the charter. Brother Douglas get the charter. But Brother Vernon Carrington was a very dynamic thinker.
Yes.
And within a few years of the charter come, within 1 year of the charter come, he was the most dominant person in the group. Okay. And he gradually seized control. But he introduced some ideas into the Federation which were accepted by the early members. Now they had the charter for 1 year and a half from February 1968 till August 69. And they only had about 10, 11, 12 members. Now, if they don't get the 25 members by a certain time, that charter is going to be devoid.
Yes.
They were told by some of their members, about 3 of their members, that they know a set of Rasta youth who is numerous, who move together, numerous Rasta youth, male and female, who defend the Federation, but they are not joining any branch of the Federation because none of them is running clean. So after a while, they got the idea, let us go and look for this set of youth. Because if we look for this set of youth that is so numerous, we must get the 25 members overnight.
Yes.
And they did come at Augustown, come look for us one Sunday, the first Sunday in 1969, August. And when we meet up with them, we carry them go to student union, the biggest venue in the university. And we sit down with them and reason them. About 5 sisters and about 8 brethren. And we sit down and reason with them. And when we reason with them and realize that this thing is fresh and new and it don't appear to have been corrupted yet, we decide we are going to close ranks and join forces with them.
Okay.
Charter 15. Charter 15.
Okay.
So within weeks, is dozens of we start to pour into that branch of the Federation. Dozens of we. And within months, is hundreds of it. And people start say, Charter 15 are uptown youth, because through so much university and high school youth in it. Them try disparage say a uptown thing. But because we are gathered the whole of the youth that we go to school with, both female and male, some people who kind of displeased and jealous start saying a little uptown thing. But we don't mind, we don't watch what them say. Some people used to try and intimidate me, all some well-known prominent man in the movement. Try and intimidate me.
Okay.
So you could judge, man. Some of them is around the mouth. You could judge, man, son. You could middle class youth. So me just cool, when me don't lick the cup, I say to them, say, I am not middle class, I say, I am ruling class. No middle class. Although I don't like talk them way, I just have to use back the work on them. I say, I'm a ruling class. I say, Ronald Small is my old man. Ronald Small is my old man. Yes. A highly selected my father, my godfather. That.
Okay.
So me are not middle class, me are ruling class. So them have to shut up. Because them say them are Rastafari. And I run them out for me, say me are middle class. Yet them say them is the family of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So this is how people try to divide and rule. But it's a human tendency, you know. Some are not
Yeah, man.
vexed. But you know, as a youth, you have to take your time and push back sometimes.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. At them time they were say 17, 18, 19 coming up and some man really. But we love the brethren and the sisters very much, very much. But in the start of 15, as I said, one of the brethren was very, very talented and had a lot of brilliant ideas and gradually overwhelmed the group and took and seized control of the group, Brother Gad. But he was always pushing the group to say, make we call the group 12 Tribe of Israel, make we not call it Federation. He always a push that, you know. And 4 years later, he got his opportunity. Muta could have tell you more about that.
Yes.
He got his opportunity in 1973 when he and the other brethren visited Ethiopia and found that the other land grant had not been finalized, the 10,000 acres. And when he
Yes.
came back to Jamaica, he advised the members to abandon the Federation and to take up the name 12 Tribe of Israel, 1973 September.
Okay. So that is because I always hear 69 as the founding of 12 tribe, but you're saying it's really 73.
73. We always identify with the name 12 Tribe. Because every Federation charter, may I remind the public, every Federation charter had a name attached to it.
Okay.
Usually a name of one of the royal family of Ethiopia.
Okay.
So you had Empress Menen charter, and you had Ras Makonnen charter, and when the dreadlocks, when in the 30s and the 40s, when the Federation started going to Jamaica, most Rastafari was co-made man and woman.
Yes.
And when the dreadlocks start to come in, and the young dreadlocks youth were very aggressive, and they try to keep out the dreadlocks from certain of the charters.
Yes.
So after 1955, at the His Majesty Silver Jubilee, he renewed the giving out of charters, and he sent out a special charter that was to welcome the dreadlocks, Charter 37. That's the one that Mortimer Planner was in. And it was famous for accepting all of the dreadlocks. And the personal name of the royal family that was attached to it was Haile Selassie First Local.
Okay.
Local 37. So when we
went that history, this is the first I'm hearing the history that there was a charter before the 12 tribe charter.
Yeah, man, there were several. There were about 19 in Jamaica.
Wow.
And some of them very famous. Charter 31 was the most numerous one at North Street.
Okay.
I had Local 33. That is the one that Centre Fox took to England and then came back to Jamaica and formed Haile Selassie Church and changed the name from Ethiopian World Federation to Ethiopian Imperial World Federation because him say I'm imperialist. But about Centre Fox, him is willing to work for the CIA.
Okay.
You have some strange Rastaman now. Because him say I'm anti-communist and him work for the CIA. And Centre Fox. Anyway. And you had many different charters. Charter 7, Charter 17, Charter 16, local, many of them. But the one that took in the dreadlocks most was Local 37. So now because each charter had the name of one of the royal family attached to it, when Brother gathered a share him understanding with the rest of the people say, Haile Selassie is the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. Because Rastaman always associate themselves with the 12 tribe of Israel. You know?
Yeah, man.
And we always say we are the 10 last tribes. Because you know, say them say there's 10 last tribes.
Yes.
And we always acknowledge that Haile Selassie is of the tribe of Judah, and therefore we identify with the tribes of Israel. So when God come with this further reasoning, but him start attach it to the horoscope.
Yes.
Saying that the tribe can be identified by the month you're born.
Yes.
Now these things is horoscope. These things are religion, ancient religion, you know. And I don't subscribe to horoscope, but I know that there's a certain amount of virtue in recognizing Just like how different fruits bear different months, there's a
Yes.
virtue in recognizing certain things, but I'm not going to take it as no religion. Say because I born this month, I stay this way and that way. Because you know that different people born the same month and the same way, stay different way. So
Yes.
he turned it into a religious ritual, God.
Yes.
And
Yes.
everybody in that drill tribe started to identify with the month them born. And he convinced the organization and the membership that the executive, the Ethiopian World Federation, requires an executive of 12, 9 official members and 3 ex officio, not official. That's
Yes.
12. So he convinced the organization that the 12 executives should be born 12 different months. Now, this is not a part of the plan of Haile Selassie, not a
Yes.
part of the Ethiopian World Federation Charter, but Gad, with his forceful personality, convinced the membership of that. And I myself, when I joined, him asked me immediately, although he was not the head of the organization, him asked me immediately to become one of the executive. Now, I have worked in many organizations, not many, a few, but I never require a frontline recognition because I mostly do my work behind the scene. So I
Yes.
tell him, so I don't need to be executive to contribute to the work. But him want me to be executive. And him want to remove the man who was there before and put me in that seat. And that man is my close friend who tell them about me and my brethren up Augustown. They
Okay.
want to turn against one another. Brother Ricketts of Tex Lane.
Okay.
One of the brethren who bring in the most of the members. Very lovely brethren. But he have a way, that is one of God's skill, is dividing people and setting people against one another. It is one of the skills and talents of human beings.
Yes.
You know the story of the talents in the Bible. One man get 5 talents, one get 2, one get 1.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I
Yes.
find that the one talented people, usually their one talent is to control other people.
Okay.
So by doing that, they get control of all the other talents. But their one talent is to control other people. And it's a very skillful talent.
Okay.
But it usually people like that become dictators. And they are
Okay.
proud of being dictators. So they boast about it. You understand? And people love personality cult. People love to worship their heroes, or
Yeah,
people
man.
who do great things to them. It's a human tendency.
Yes.
So after a while, when you have that kind of dynamic personality and a whole lot of mannerisms and very peculiar behavior, develop a cult around that person so that you find that after a while the organization, the 12 tribe of Israel, was centered around Brother Gad, not around Haile Selassie.
Hmm.
And therefore you have a cult of personality around Brother Gad. And his word alone goes. You have an executive there and a constitution how the organization must run. It has never operated by the constitution. There has never been an election of the executive in 12 tribe Israel. Never. Gad dictate who is the executive, and they are executive for life. Which decent organization can somebody be an executive from 1968? That is 32 years in the 20th century
Yes.
and 24 years in the 21st century. 56 years in all. Is that 56? 57. Which decent organization can have a person be an executive for 57 years? That's
Yes.
madness.
That is
It's madness.
not unfamiliar to black organizations and institutions,
Yes,
as you say.
yes. It become a black tradition, and the people who control it for life. And you must never challenge or have a review. The Ethiopian World Federation Constitution say every year the performance of each member of the executive must be reviewed and either endorsed or be replaced by a vote. That's never been carried out in the 12 tribe and in most Ethiopian World Federation branches. Never. And it become a tradition. And this is how government becomes corrupted.
Yes.
Most governments in the world are corrupt, and they become corrupted gradually because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely
Absolutely. Okay.
without fail.
I'm listening. You know, I've interviewed several members of the 12 Tribe of Israel. I just interviewed Brother Carl Philpotts, And what I noticed is, you know, I never trod up during the time of Prophet Gad, but I know that of all of the mansions within Rastafari, 12 tribe have a specific emphasis on Jesus, or Yeshua, you know, even the greeting and thing, and it seemed it now gravitate more to that cosmology and not so much the Prophet Gad. I don't hear them talk so much about the Prophet Gad in a modern sense and more
No,
emphasis.
not when they speak into the public, but internally.
Yes.
It is there. And hear this now. Brother Carl was one of my closest brethren from him. I was 14 years old and I was 19 years old.
Okay,
And when I
okay.
met him, I couldn't believe say a 14-year-old youth have such a grasp. I mean, I become close brethren. But the fact is this. They know that the 12 tribe of Israel become a personality cult surrounding the personality of Brother Gad. And they know that the Ethiopian World Federation Constitution was never implemented, never. And they know that it is Rome infiltrated the early Christian church, and 300 years after they executed the Jesus,
Yes.
Constantine was challenged by his second, the dictator of Rome, Caesar. Constantine Caesar was challenged by his second, and there was a civil war in Rome, and his second was overcoming and winning the civil war and about to march and enter Rome and take over Rome. And Constantine, in panic and depression, dreamed in the night that the only way you're going to escape this guy overthrowing you is if you join the Christian church and take up the cross as your symbol. You're going to be, and you infiltrate the church. And that is how Rome national, don't you know, national religion is a corruption, you know.
Yes.
No government, from modern government, in ancient times, religion controlled government.
Yes.
Is religion endorsed government. But now that we know what religion is and what politics are, most of the activity and achievement of His Imperial Majesty in Africa is political action. You know that?
Yes, definitely.
The formation of the OAU is political action.
Yes, yes.
His Majesty action in the League of Nations is political action.
What I say is that the Orthodox Church, even though it's authorized in the Constitution, also fought His Majesty education.
Yes, sir.
In the early days,
yes.
The public education system.
Yes, sir.
Against that, the importation of airplanes, of modern vehicles was also opposed. They thought that the airplane was a demonic instrument.
Contraption of the devil.
Yes, so a lot of the reforms His Majesty was doing, and people have to understand this, and this is why I say, even though His Majesty is the defender of the church, His Majesty exceed.
No, defender of the faith.
Defender
of the faith.
Yes, yes.
Of the faith.
Give thanks for that correction.
I hear this now, from Tafari, little boy.
Yes.
Makonnen been training Tafari. Makonnen make Tafari know say, you are going to take over Ethiopia. When you take over Ethiopia, the land must be restored to the people.
Yes.
The nobility and the royalty must give back the land to the people. The church, which is the biggest landowner, must give back the land to the people. And that from him was a little boy, he knew that, and he knew that he was going to get that fight.
Yes, yes. And he gradually, because he elevated the people from peasants to citizens. And
exactly. What does the word peasant mean?
Peasant is basically an indentured servant.
Yes, indentured means that you are attached to the land.
Yes.
You may not even move out of your district without permission from the landlord. You know what the word Lord means? What does the word Lord mean?
Explain.
The word Lord, there's one meaning for the word Lord. Owner of land.
Yes.
And the title Lord is a land title.
Okay.
That's why the Lord God means that good is the owner for all the whole earth. And not only one earth, all the other planets and the universe.
Okay.
Lord God Almighty, Almighty. So Lord, peasant means attached to the land. I don't know if you did French in school.
Yes, long time. Because I grew up
Well,
in Toronto. So I lived
paysan. If you know the word paysan, paysan.
Okay.
That stands for the land. And
I know,
peasant.
I remember bonjour, comment t'appelles too, and few other words.
Yes,
That's
yes,
some my
yes,
stuff right there. So.
yes, yes. Yes. You remember when a woman was interviewing His Majesty? I think she named Falachi or something like so.
Yes, I knew what I was going to
And
say.
she continually asking him about when he dies and he explained to her that he has made arrangement that when we are no longer here, that and that and that. And she continued persist. And one time she come again, him say, I have already told you. And she come back one time and him say, who is this woman?
Yes.
Where does she come from? What does she want? That is enough. Sasofit. Sasofit.
Yes.
And him say, get her out of here.
Yes.
Get her out of here. And I have an interview of her life as one of the greatest journalists. And them said to her, say, what has been the most difficult interview ever had? She said, without a doubt, the interview of Haile Selassie. She said, he's so full of himself. She said, I wore a pantsuit to the palace to interview him. And they called me one side and said, you may not interview him in a trousers. And they took me into a wardrobe with hundreds of dresses and made me choose a dress and change into it. That's why I should say influencer.
So for the sister them who bring pants into the levity, you hear from the elder how His Majesty treat the pants vibration. I want the item.
But in Ethiopia, no. In Ethiopia, there's a tradition.
Yes.
That you wear a dress over the pants. You do have a pants tradition in Ethiopia, no? Yes. But you wear a dress over it.
Which makes sense because Ethiopia get cold because it's mountain.
Yes.
So it makes sense that they would wear pants under the skirt.
And even most Africans wear a form of clothing that people would say is a frock. A lot of people usually mock African dress.
Yes.
But the thing is, we do things by agreement. Agreement is the most. But even the laws, remember, Israel, Haile Selassie knew from him was a little youth that he was going to be the last king in Ethiopia.
Yes.
Because Israel never used to have no king.
Yes.
It's after Israel come out of Egypt. The children of Israel said to the judges, because remember, Israel government was a Supreme Court.
Yes.
The head of each tribe was a judge of Israel, and the 12 judges was the Court of Appeal. And they made the rules by agreement, and they judged by the rules. So when Israel came out of Egypt, Israel was not in slavery in Africa. Yes. Israel was trading with Egypt. And there were hard times, and Egypt took in Israel like we have a most favored trading partner.
Yes.
And you take them in and give them commercial, you give them residence, like how Trump try to get out some of them long-standing people.
Yes.
So Israel was in Egypt for hundreds of years and was so prosperous that a lot of the Egyptians got fearful and said these people coming in our country, like how Jamaica fearful of the new Chinese. Them just coming in the country and take over the whole place. And so it was that Egypt started to strip away a lot of the privileges that Israel had in Egypt. Strip away all them commercial licenses, strip away all land title holding, until afterwards they were like in subjection, had to do compulsory work, but they didn't go into slavery in Egypt. But anyway, after 400 years, they came out. They tried to stop them and they came out. When they came out, remember now, all human beings, all nations originally were nomadic.
Yes.
All nations in the earth were nomadic.
Yes.
It's after hundreds of thousands of years that human beings start to establish settled nations with borders.
Yes, with the rise of agriculture. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. And land never used to be enclosed. The enclosure of land is what creates poverty. Poverty is not a natural occurrence in human life.
Yes.
Poverty is the enclosure and deprivation of land. That is the only source of poverty. And the only source of super richness is the deprivation and enclosure of land. A Jamaican will not work for $15,000 a week minimum wage if he has 3 acres of land or she. For you to get cheap, the capitalism is built on cheap labor.
Yes.
You cannot get cheap labor if people have land. To implement capitalism, you have to seize all the land. As a key of capitalism, the general population must not have land.
So it's like a rebranded feudalism, capitalism.
Capitalism is the upgrading.
Yes.
Upgrading of feudalism. Feudalism is the domination.
The oligarchy becomes the royalty.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because in feudalism, the landowners own all the land and all the riches. But when money was created, when currency was created, the merchant, the people who live in the city and buy and sell goods, now became richer than the landowners. And the landowners used to have to start borrowing money from the merchant. So the merchant now start to control the trades. Because all tailors used to move in a guild. A guild of tailors, an associate of tailors, and them run business together. But afterwards, the machinery, the modern machinery of tailoring, that can sew so fast and create the textile so fast, the knitting mill, is so expensive that no one tailor can own it. So only the rich man may own a knitting mill. So when you own a building, you own the land where the building on, and you own the knitting mill. Those are capital. The first capital is land. The next capital is machine. All of these are capital goods, you know.
Yes, yes.
Capital goods is land, building, machinery, parts, and raw material. And human capital is one of the biggest form of capital, but they dismiss it as being the least. Yes. And they call it labor.
Yeah, and also currency now become capital as well.
Yes, capital is the paper capital, which is not money. The currency is not money, it is a promissory note.
Yes.
But it is capital. So the capitalism is the ownership of these different components, and the labor now, which is human capital, they dismiss it as being the least important and say, you are not capital, you are labor.
Yes. So after 12 tribes, how long did you stay in the 12 tribes, and then what was your move after? How did you become an iconic voice on Jamaica radio? How did you start branching out professionally?
I got into radio in May 1969 before the Federation people came and met us.
Okay.
I got into radio because of my music experience.
Okay.
And the first program I did was a requiem to Don Drummond.
Okay.
Because I had written about them in a newspaper, and the article was interpreted to be a poem. I just write an ordinary article, but because a few lines of the article rhyme, people say it's a poem, and they invite me on the radio to do a memorial of Don Drummond. And I was writing from before that. Thank you, ma'am. I was writing from before. Anyway, long story short is that I was an executive of the Ethiopian World Federation for 14 years, from 69 to 83.
Yes.
No elections were kept. So the executive was not properly constituted.
Yes.
Now, after 1973, God encouraged the members to abandon the Federation Charter and to become known as the 12 tribes. I was still an executive there, but God knows that I don't take dictation from him. Most of the members and most of the executive take dictation from him. If they even want to get married, they go and ask him if they should get married, most of the people. It become a personality cult. He make all decisions. So the executive was just a rubber stamp.
Yes.
But him know that some of us were self-employed. Self-employment is the greatest. I don't look down on people who are employed. But self-employment is the greatest because it afforded some independence.
Yes.
So because I was self-employed as a baker and a taximan and an artist who used to draw and sell me picture them, make greeting card, him couldn't have no control or no influence over my prosperity. He
Yes.
also was self-employed. But the fact is that you can't dictate to me when I am self-employed and you can't dictate to my children. So I started to talk out about the mismanagement of the organization and he could not stop me from talking. Some tried to threaten because things like that were done, you know. It was I who introduced Bob Marley to the organization in 1973. I introduced Alan Cole there from
Wow.
about 71. From about 71, but he was playing football in Brazil. Said he didn't leave Brazil till and come home till 73. So Alan Cole, Bob Marley, many of the popular youths and things. And you know, when them come into the organization, it become even more attractive. Because House of Dread was a famous football team from in the 60s.
Big up Ras Tafari, who passed away recently.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. A man like Bonnie Riley and all of them, man. There.
Okay.
Now, Alan Cole used to play for House of Dread, but him never dreadlocks. And then my man, them are begging for dreadlocks in here. I'm never dreadlock. And he must want a star player. So now, the organization started to come big because of the talents of the various people who come in. Half of the great musicians them and singers in Jamaica did become a member of the Federation.
Yes.
From Bob Marley right across the Sugar Mine, Dennis Brown, Freddie McGregor, Judy Moore, many of the male and female. So there were many talents and it became more and more attractive. It's the biggest organization ever assembled in the East Rastafari movement.
Wow.
But at the same time, it was being dominated by this personality, brother girl.
Yes.
Now, as I said, I start to I express myself, all the while I express myself freely. Nobody can stop me. And when I don't feel for talk, I don't talk. Him also complain about that. Say, I don't talk. Him tell one person say I don't talk, him tell the next person say I talk too much. So anyway, him know that him can't stop me from talk. And eventually, in 1983, he called an executive meeting without my knowledge. And he demanded of the executive to vote Jerry Small off of the executive. And he told them that if you don't vote him off the executive, I'm going to leave Jamaica and I'm going to go foreign and stay abroad and mash up the organization in Jamaica. And so the 12 executives, them, including some of my closest friends, like Becky, brother Becky, one of my closest friends, voted to remove me from the executive on the order of Brother Gad. And so in October 1983, I ceased to be an executive after 14 years.
Okay.
But it was me and my brethren and sisters, we carrying the vast majority of people who become members as we carry them in there. Because our activity from in the mid-60s was to travel around Jamaica non-stop. Every weekend, we go and right around Jamaica, visit every little community and I contact all of the youth, especially the high school, from in the mid-60s. From 1965, we start that.
Was my uncle with the iron during any of these missions, Uncle Mike?
Yes, man, but him never joined the many of the sharper people never joined the organization, you know. But we still keep coming to them as that one thing we vex Brother Gad. Brother Gad and some in a circle was demanding that anybody who you used to move with as Rasta and them don't come into the organization, you must cut them off. And we say, we not cut off the whole time, brother. Now do it. We still move with them. Some man like historian. I even Martin Plan and many other people who still move with them never like it. Because you know this exclusive the word exclusive. It is a prestige thing, exclusive. It means excluding people. Yes. So when you get rich now, you must move with only rich people and you must exclude poor people out of your company. Those members of your family who are not rich, you keep them at a distance and you associate with those members of your family who are rich. Exclusivism. It is to exclude people and to include those who you approve. I am not in that. Nobody may dictate to me to do so. So Brother Mike and we are good brethren right through. And nobody, I want to tell you, me and a couple of my good brethren all clash. Because some of them start have some contention with some of my brethren. And something I'll get physical and we have to intervene. And I have to go intervene in things that me feel all embarrassed because I'm a good friend of them, you know. And we are get all in a physical confrontation with them. Apparently through this organization.
Yes.
Because one thing we know, you know, and I Selassie teach it and my parents teach it also. We must and will protect our women and children. And no one may lay no hand upon our women and children. Now we brethren.
Yes.
And just do something get us up. It must be put to a stop. We are not bad man. We must put a stop to any assault and violation.
Mm-hmm.
And the meekest and mildest people, them terrible and dreadful if you I tell you man.
Yeah. So 83 now. What was the move after that? You are no longer on the executive of the organ of the 12 tribe of Israel, and what was the move after that?
Well, I resume my writing and I start circulate back more and more amongst all the other Rastafari.
Yes.
And and then in 1987, the centenary of Marcus Garvey, I got active again in the black people struggle. And I started back a publication named Garvey H.I.M.
Okay.
And it was a big, the centenary of Marcus Garvey was a big year. You know that 1925 when you hear Biden, when saying to expunge?
Pardon.
Yeah. That is the centenary of the conviction of Marcus Garvey. He was convicted in 1925.
Okay.
And the FBI was formed specifically to undermine the UNI and put Garvey in prison. It's later when it became successful, they strengthened it more. Because it was the first federal police agency. Because they know that to trap the UNIA, you have to have a federal charge. Because you know that if you commit an offense in one state and you reach the border and go next border, they may not hold you.
Yes.
So they realize you have to have a federal police who can follow you across the state line.
Yes.
So 1925 he was put in prison. By 1927 they realized the same thing like with Jesus. When you crucify him, the movement gets stronger. When you incarcerate Garvey, the movement getting stronger. So them say, you know, we have to get this guy out of America. So they carry him straight from the prison to the ship, the port to Jamaica. And America and England was colluding now how you're going to crush this black movement. At that time, America was taking over the leadership of the world empire from England. 1920s, after the Second World War. So gradually America was promoted and take over the English job of claiming them as the head of the world empire of the Anglo-Saxon.
Yes.
And the world empire of the Anglo-Saxon, just like how Constantine joined the church falsely and turned it into the national religion of Rome. So it is that the early Christians were attracted to Christianity and Judaism by saying that they are God's chosen people. So when you become a Christian or you become a Jew, you claim to be God's chosen people, so you are higher than all of the rest of the people in the world. And therefore you have the authority to run out people out of any land that you say is the promised land. And you have a duty to kill them, even the baby on the shoulder, even the baby on the breast. So when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, and they were nomadic just like everybody else, moving from place to place. After a while, there were some settled governments and states where people, because of agriculture, where start to cultivate food. You don't have to walk and look food where it is bearing from time to time. You stay one place and you plant food. As long as you can find a year-round supply of fresh water, that is what you call civilization, the building of cities, because you have a steady supply of fresh water. Yes. Agricultural land around the city. The city is where the living quarters of the people. And the land around the city is the agricultural quarter.
Yes.
That sustains the city. And you have a fixed state now. A walled city. Because it's mostly city states, The walled city and the land around. So the children of Israel now start to admire how the Palestinian and the different
The
the different
Canaanite,
people and
The African Canaanites.
yes, and the Philistine, how them prosperous and rich, and them army look bigger than them have king's house. So them start say to the judges of Israel, make we have a king because we like how the king system look and the king people them look like them prosperous more we. And the judges said to them, say you need no king man, and God are your king. But them go on and go and say, boy, we want a king, man, we want a king. So the chief judge, I think it was Samuel, go complain to the Almighty in a prayer. Say, boy, Almighty, the people them no respect
Samuel
you.
was a dreadlocks, Natty Congo too. We have to
Yes,
always
yes.
say that the throne
Yes.
of Israel was established by Natty Congo priesthood.
But before that, Samuel complained in a prayer, because prayer is a reasoning inside with yourself, you know.
Yes.
You are a person, you're a body, you know, you're a human body. You're a person. A human body is a person. In other words, an individual. So is your person name Kwasi? That's your personal name. But the life inside of you is God Almighty.
Yes.
So you are a community of at least two. You, Kwasi, and God. That's a fact, you know.
Yeah, man.
It's
Yeah,
you,
man.
Kwasi, God. Are you, Kwasi, and God sit down right here then?
Yes, I.
And that's why you have more than one mind, and that's why you can reason with yourself. Yeah, man, and God inside of the one, you know. That is life. The life inside of you is God. So bodies die. Bodies live for a time like trees live for a time and then they die. Death is not a tragedy. But we were taught when we look that death is a curse.
Yes.
Foolishness. Because all Moses and all them, and they knew a lot, but they knew very little. So they only taught what they knew.
Yes.
And each one of us knows very little, but when we come together, we know very much more. I learn as much from you. But so gradually after moving from the executive at 12 tribe, I resumed my activity that I was doing from years before.
Yes.
And radio became more regular in the 90s, so on and so forth.
Yes.
But history from my little boy, finding out how things came to be was one of my favorite interests from my little baby boy.
Yes, and you have educated generations of Jamaicans, you know, on the airwaves, with legendary discussions and reasonings. What were some of the highlights that you can remember from your radio journey? And we're gonna come forward, and all of these things that he's talking about is an episode to itself, you know. With us a touch and give the item an overview. As I said, it's I and I family, so we are gonna bring him forward regularly because there's so much history, and we want to keep it to 2 hour chunks so that you can digest it. You can digest it. But this is gonna be regular. So just give us before we seal up some of the highlights that you remember, moments that really touch you on the radio that you think were significant.
Well, I was glad to share with people my understanding of how the tribal system was cultivated in Jamaica after Marcus Garvey leave here and after the Rastafari movement rise up in the 1930s in Jamaica. The political system, they got out Marcus Garvey so that they could choose so the British could choose some people to replace Marcus Garvey. They identified two people who could replace Marcus Garvey, and the both of them opposed Marcus Garvey and helped to get him out of Jamaica. One was Norman Manley, and the other was his cousin Bustamante. And the both of them were foundation members of the PNP. And later on, they got to Bustamante and made a deal with him to leave out of the PNP and to condemn them as communists. They had him in prison in the military camp. They made a deal with him. He left out of the PNP, formed the JLP, and they had this two-party. They use the two-party system like in America. They use the two-party system to give the people the impression that they have a choice. Meanwhile, the two parties are working for the same oligarchy.
Yes.
And what they do in Jamaica, why Paul Bogle led that rebellion? In Jamaica, only people who had land had the vote. If you didn't have land, just like in Jamaica, If you don't have land, you have to go work for minimum wage. If you don't have land, you never have the vote. So what they did in 1944, they convinced Bustamante and Manley to tell the people that we are going to free you. You're going to get the vote. What is it that people need? Is it the vote that people need, or is it the land?
The land.
So they tricked the people, because if you got the land, you would get a vote with the land. So what they did in 44, they gave the people the vote, and then Buster and Manley must run a race and say who get more vote. And from that time, the people have been
Tribal war.
dumbstruck and being fascinated by this competition of who can get the vote. Meanwhile, both of the parties, and America has recently realized that both the Democrat and the Republican is the same. In England, the Labour and the Conservative are the same, and they want to mesmerize the people by this concept, like the Olympics. Every 4 years ago, the Olympics, and see who win. But by being able to share the understanding of how that took place little by little was one of the most gratifying results of being on the radio. And many more things. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think, because of that contribution, we have a lot less political violence. It's gang violence now, but the political tribalism that used to characterize Jamaica, I think people are, not in that vibration anymore. The elections usually happen without any occurrences of violence or minimal occurrences. And I can definitely take some credit in terms of opening the eyes of Jamaican society. I really want to give thanks to the eye for this reasoning. It's been enlightening. It's been educational, riveting. I'm sure certain aspects will be controversial, and I'm sure we'll see in the comments, people chime in, because this platform that, the Lion Voice, we have become a rallying point for Rastafari around the world. So I know many E.W.F 12 tribe will be in the comments making their comments. But this is history, and I don't want anyone to tell the I story from the I perspective. But we're not using this to divide. The purpose of this platform is to just educate and to prepare us to come together, because we can agree to disagree. One of the things I'm big on this platform is that unity does not mean uniformity. We can agree, we can agree to disagree and still work together for what we agree on, which is independence, repatriation, economic sovereignty, food and water sovereignty, and certain things that we know that we need collectively. So we don't want these reasonings to be a point of thing. It's a sharpening of the sword. And this guest that we have here today is a living witness to some of the great moments of Jamaica's history. And I'm honored that you're a guest on this platform, and honored to call the I family. You know what I mean?
It's great to know.
The Saint and lineage, the small out of Trelawney, my mother family. And it's really a joy to know that you have etched a place in the history book. So any final words for the Lion Pride and the global Rastafari family right now?
The Rastafari movement, just like how the police is not supposed to be a force, it's supposed to be a service. Yes. But it really serves the ruling class. So it is that the Rastafari is a service. Rastafari rose up as a service, an educational service, and a preparation for the people, the black people around the world, free themselves. So it is now, like the Maroons and like the Israelites, the Jewish people, we must not see ourselves superior to the rest of the people. We must not feel like the Rastafari is higher than the rest of the people. We come to serve them and provide a service for them and facilitate the coming together of the people. And because of that, whether people are the same as us or not, just as I say, we don't agree on everything, but by facilitating just make us remind ourselves, we are not superior to anyone else, and the service that we're doing is a great service you're doing because of you provide service to everyone. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, and I always say that the only power I see that can combat the tribalism on the continent is Rastafari, because the youths them in Africa gravitate to this movement, this liberty. Most of my audience is coming from Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, you know, the African countries, Libya, you know what I mean? So the analytics shows that the African youths of today love Rastafari, and this is the thing that makes them leave their tribal affiliation and join with their other brothers for the cause of the Pan-African struggle, because it was our music, reggae music, that was the first time most Africans hear about a united Africa. We underpin the cultural glue that the soundtrack for Pan-African movement. You know, the liberation struggle was coming out of Jamaica reggae. So give thanks, family, and I really look forward for the second edition of this, where we'll do some deeper dives into some of the topics that you mentioned. And again, big up all of the Lion Pride who have watched this. We will continue to bring high-level Rastafari reasonings to this global platform. Why? Because the time has come for the Lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lion's voice. Rastafari.
Yeah, man, thank you very much, Lion Pride family.
Lion voice.
Yo. I'm here writing on these modern scrolls. Has a redemption for bloodshed on Sodom Road. Stories of trigger happy now to shot all of his foes. This is the outcome of 500 years down here in the West. Mothers forced to manual labor with no rest. The cost of living in the West is leaving us penniless. Loudly I hear the cries of my peoples being released out of cages of desert eagles, leaving the victim pharmacy to if you overstand the level. He who feels it knows the down pressure of the devil. Cross the Pope in the fire, Gideon black rebels. My sword is my word manifested in flesh. Blessed to get it used for homeless with a place to rest. Selassie say close the naked, shelter for the shelterless. Babylon you can't govern because your heart is too dirty. Behold the lion of Judah, he get low this worthy.
So heal his majesty. Heal him, King of glory. Heal him, might of the Trinity. Rastafari crown every African free. So heal his majesty. Heal him, King of glory. Heal him, might of the Trinity. Rastafari crown every African free.
I'm Bessa, trample the down presser. Work for the youths, the mothers, the ancestors. Bad situation must get better. Weak by ourselves, but we must stand together. Stop eating deaders, grow out your dreaders. You need your locks like the chicken needs its feathers. Chant forever, the king reigns forever. Don't get caught in the Babylon pleasure. Watch the flames get redder, chains get scarcer. Lock down the planes and you're stuck in the area. When Wall Street crashed, the foolish passed. The wise man up in the hills with his store to last. There's more to grasp in this life than just whores with ass. Stores of cash and you blinking when the poor man passed. It's never too small to share, food or gear. I'm a Gideon, are you prepared? I move to kick and I move to snare. Two things that don't move me is doubt and fear. Why? Cause the great king is everywhere. In water and land, in man and air. So
heal his majesty. Heal him, King of glory. Heal him, might of the Trinity. Rastafari crown every African priest. Heal his majesty. Heal him, King of glory. Heal him, might of the Trinity. Rastafari crown every African free. Rule inequality, so while the pagan heart, it don't bother me. Come follow me to the promised land. Heal the almighty in a man.